Hello everyone, this is Ritika Sharma with roll number 20 NSO409 and my topic is to determine the width of a narrow slit using Frobenius diffraction. But before starting, I'd like to thank Dr. CP sir, Pema sir and Sabat sir for giving me this topic from which I learned so much that I will be using that in my future. Now let's get started with my topic. This diagram over here shows Frobenius diffraction wherein I have a source S and a screen XY which is placed at an infinite distance from the source, and I have this slit kept here, and we know that light, it travels in all the possible direction. Here also it will do the same. So to make the light rays reach the 2 points of the slit, I have placed a lens L1 which will converge the light coming from the source to 2 points A and B of the slit. Now, from point A and B, the light rays will reach lens L2, which will converge the light rays to point P0 on the screen. Now, at point A and B, the light rays will get diffracted with angle theta each and will reach the lens L2, and from lens L2 the light rays coming from point A and B will get converged to point P1 on the screen XY. Now when the light from the source falls on the slit, each point on the slit will act as a secondary sources, and from these sources secondary wavelets are generated as shown. So these wavelets will interfere with each other, forming a diffraction pattern on the screen. The pattern that we get on the screen is like this, wherein we have a central maxima and secondary maxima. So this one is secondary maxima of first order and this one is secondary maxima of second order. So this central maxima is due to the light rays that goes straight. So we get central maxima over here. So this is all about the diagram of Frobenius diffraction. The main aim of this experiment is to determine the width of a narrow slit. So the width of a narrow slit is given by E is equals to n lambda by sine theta, where E is equals to width of the slit, n is the order and lambda is the wavelength of the laser light which will be provided to us. So if we are doing this experiment for first order, we write n is equals to 1, and if we are doing it for second order, we write n is equals to 2. We also can have orders like n is equals to 5, n is equals to 8 or so on. But we don't use these orders experimentally because they are very narrow and dim and it is very difficult for us to determine its distances. Now we will do the derivation of working formula, but before that let us look into the steps to derivation. The first step is to find the path difference. Using this path difference, we will find the phase difference, and using the formula of phase difference, we will find the resultant amplitude and we will find the resultant intensity, and using the formula of resultant intensity, we will find the condition of minima, and at last we will find our required thing, that is the slit width. Our first step is to find the path difference. For path difference, we draw a normal AC. We drew this normal just to show that AP1 and BP1 are equal. So the leftover path, that's BC, will give us our required path difference. So now I'll zoom in this part from this diagram. So this is the zoomed in figure from the previous diagram. So here in this figure, BC is our path difference which we need to find. So from this figure we can write that sine theta is equals to BC by AB, and sine theta is equal to BC by AB is given by E. This is our slit width. So E, this will implies BC is equal to E sine theta, which is our required path difference. The second step is to find the phase difference, and it is given by delta. So we have a relationship between phase difference and path difference. It is given by phase difference is equal to 2 pi by lambda times path difference. So this will implies delta is equals to 2 pi by lambda times e sin theta. We got e sin theta from step 1. So this is for n fringes, but for one fringe it will be del is equals to 1 by n 2 pi by lambda times e sin theta. So this is our required phase difference. Let me give this as equation 1. The third step is to find the resultant amplitude, which is given by R. So from the theory of n harmonic vibration, R is given by A sin n delta by 2 by sin delta by 2. This I have named it equation 2. So now put equation 1 from the previous step to equation 2. This will give us R is equals to this much. So from here we can cancel this and this out, this and this out. We can cancel this and this out. So now R is equal to A sin pi by lambda e sin theta by sin 1 by n pi by lambda e sin theta. Now consider pi by lambda e sin theta as alpha. So this is very large angle. Now replace this large angle by alpha. Here I have replaced that large angle with alpha and I have named it equation 3. So if alpha by n is very small, then sin alpha by n will be equivalent to alpha by n. So this will imply R is equals to A sin alpha by n. Now multiply numerator and denominator by n, will get R is equals to Na sin alpha by alpha. This is equal to A sin alpha by alpha, as Na is equal to A. So this Na is equals to A is our new amplitude. That is, A is our new amplitude. And I have given this as equation 4. Step 4 is to find the resultant intensity. That's I. So intensity is given by square of amplitude. Equation 4. From equation 4 we can write intensity is equals to A sin alpha by alpha whole square. So this will be equal to A square sin square alpha by alpha square. I have named it as equation 5. So step 5 is to find the condition for minima. So for condition for minima, intensity should be equal to 0. So for intensity to be 0 in equation 5, A can't be 0. If amplitude is 0, then intensity will never exist, and if alpha is equal to 0, then we will get unlimited maximum. It will be impossible. So for intensity to be 0, sin alpha will be equal to 0. Sin alpha is 0 at an interval of sin n pi. So sin alpha is equal to sin n pi. This will imply alpha is equal to plus minus n pi. So for alpha is equal to plus minus n pi, we get minimum position. So this is our last step, wherein we will find the slit width. So here we have considered this earlier, that alpha is equals to pi by lambda times e sin theta, and also alpha is equals to n pi from our previous step. So this will imply n pi is equals to pi by lambda e sin theta. I have cancelled this pi and pi out. So this will imply n lambda is equals to e sin theta. So E, that is our slit width, is equals to n lambda by sin theta. So this is our working formula. So we just got our working formula as E is equals to n lambda by sin theta. Now we'll look into how this experiment is carried out in lab. It is quite difficult to explain this experiment without any experimental setup, but I'll try my level best to explain this experiment through diagrams. The apparatus that are required to do these experiments are laser source, lens, slit, screen, meter tape and a paper. Now let us look at its procedure. For the procedure, first we keep the laser source and a slit at a distance of 15 cm along the same line and at a same height. And after doing that, we fix the distance between the slit and the screen as 100 cm, and this is distance D. The slit that we use here is an adjustable slit, so we can adjust the width of the slit, but we have to keep the width of the slit very narrow, then only we can get a diffraction pattern on the screen. When we switch on the laser source, the laser light will fall on the slit. So as I have said it earlier too, that these points act as a secondary sources and they generate secondary wavelets. So these secondary wavelets, they interfere with each other and they form a diffraction pattern.
This is the diffraction pattern that we observe on the screen, wherein we have this central maxima. So these are the secondary maxima. We have secondary maxima on both sides as shown. So this is the secondary maxima of first order, this is the secondary maxima of second order, and so on. As the order increases, intensity of light decreases. Now, what we do is that we mark the position of central maxima and the secondary maxima on a paper and measure the distances of first and second order from the center point. Here I have marked the position of central maxima and secondary maxima that I have observed on the screen. So the distance of first order secondary maxima to the left it's D1 and to the right it's D2. Similarly, the distance of second order secondary maxima to the left it's D1 and to the right it's D2.
Now we take the average of the distance that we have plotted on the paper. So it will be D is equals to D1 plus D2 by 2. So this we did for first order. Similarly, we do for second order and we vary the distances of the slit and the screen as 150 cm, 80 cm and so on, and we repeat the same steps. After doing all this, we know the value of n, it's of first order, so we write n is equals to 1, and the value of lambda is provided to us, but we don't know how to find sine theta. So for sine theta, we use this part of this diagram. So from this part of this diagram, we can find the value of sine theta. So we know that sine theta is equals to perpendicular by hypotenuse. So from here, perpendicular is this distance. So I have taken the average of these two distance. So it's d, and hypotenuse is root under d plus capital D square. So I have written it there. Sine theta is equals to d by root under d square plus capital D square. Now we note down the values that we have observed from this experiment in an observation table. So these are the values that I have observed. So for D is equals to 100 centimeter and N is equals to 1. D2 is 0.5 centimeter, D1 is 0.5 centimeter, and the average of D1 and D2 is also 0.5 centimeter. So when I put the value of D, capital D and small d in this formula, I'll get 0.00499 and the slit width will be 0.011. So similar calculation is done for order n is equals to 2. Now I'll show you all a sample calculation of this. So here I have shown the calculation to find the slit width. So we are given from experiment, we find the value of d, small d, and using the value of capital D and small d, we find the value of sine theta, and lambda it is provided to us, and by the experiment we get the value of n. So when we put all these values in the formula of slit width, we get 0.011 after calculation. So the result that we got by doing this experiment is that the width of the slit that we found is 0.011 centimeter. Thank you for watching.